Okay then, so it's time for this week's Wowhead Economy Weekly Wrap-Up. We're up to episode 183 now. First and foremost, we have to give a big shout out to Samadan. He puts this together for us each and every week. You can catch Samadan over on his YouTube channel, or of course, he streams on Twitch as well. If you're watching this video live on Twitch, feel free to put your questions in the chat. I will get to them as and when they're relevant. If not, we'll do a Q&A section at the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please remember to give the video a like and hit that subscribe button. With patch 9.1 only a couple of days away, you can expect loads of more content from myself on the World of Warcraft economy and gold making in general. But let's see what's on our table of contents this week then. We have some 9.1 legendary changes. What is going to be best in slot for gold making? We have an interview with Sapu, the lead developer of Trade Skill Master. TBC Classic Gold Investments for Phase 2. And then there's a little bit of further reading for those that want to dive a little bit deeper. Now then. 9.1 legendary changes. What is BIS for gold making? So a lot of last minute changes and clarifications have been hitting the news recently, with lots of speculation of what's going to be the most optimal option for players. This has had a huge knock-on effect for gold makers wanting to craft their legendaries to make some gold, effectively further restricting these slots that min-max players are likely going to opt for. The focus at the moment seems to be rings, necks and cloaks, favoured largely by many classes as the best in slot for legendary choices. This is mainly down to the new domination gear that drops in the raid having very, very powerful domination sockets. These sockets are, you can put gems in these sockets, and in essence, once you put 3 gems in these bits of gear, you get a nice bonus, and this bonus is very, very powerful. So powerful, in fact, that it's taking preference over your actual legendary in terms of you want your domination gear, you want your domination gem, and you want to make sure that you've at least got 3 of them for the bonus. This means that things like your chest, your helm, your shoulders, which are item slots that are going to be focused by this domination gear, is now no longer going to be an optimal place for you to put your legendary, meaning that people are swapping their legendaries left, right and centre, and the legendaries are being pushed more to the outside, more to the off pieces, hence the rings, the necks and the cloaks. Let's go through this a little bit more in detail. Pyromelter said, yes, rings are going to be selling like crazy. Preach and others who've discussed the raiding issues have been talking about this for a while, and my post on Sunday was describing just this. Other things to keep in mind is pants. There is no shard sockets on pants so far as we know, and pants are considered a high stat value item, similar to that of the chest or the shoulders or the helm. They have a lot more stuff on them. They're more powerful pieces of gear generally. So if there's a choice between a ring and pants, it's likely that the pants will become the recommended slot. So yes, obviously if you craft a ring, there's less physical stats on a ring than there are on a pair of pants. So if you're really trying to min-max, bearing in mind your legendary items are usually a step above or 2 steps above in some cases in terms of their actual item level, you can get a lot of just raw stats off these high item level legendaries. So yes, given the option, people will probably put them in the pants. Outside of that being an option, your rings, your necks, your cloaks, belts in some cases, even boots with a couple of classes will be considered possibilities for their legendaries. But this is very, very quickly going to push jewel crafting into a good spot, that's for sure. Have a little look at this list of BIS legendaries to recraft and see if there are any you can make for yourself. Even if only at currently rank 3, you'll be able to craft some rank 5 pieces. Yes, so if you're a crafter out there and you've been leveling up your legendary pieces, you will want to at least have the your main focus on rank 3 items. Rank 4 is a luxury to have unlocked right now, but it's not an essential, because of course a rank 3 with a Vestige of Origins, which is the new crafting reagent, will generate a rank 5 base item, so you'll be good to go in that regards. Lazy Goldmaker has put together a little video going through his thoughts on this. This was quite in depth, as we've come to expect from the Lazy Goldmaker, so make sure you go check this video out if you haven't already. Let's keep going. There is a huge amount of speculation already, and markets have reacted strongly as players scramble to buy ore needed for jewel crafting. There are certainly opportunities to be had flipping markets right now, or even just straight up farming, especially if you have that druid and has the ability to run through them all. Let's take a look at the lithium ore prices. Of course, a lithium ore being your rare one. Ironically, a lithium ore is not actually a firm favourite for jewel crafters when it comes to prospecting, usually because it's significantly more expensive. There is some maths behind whether you should be prospecting a lithium or lacerite, because both of those will give you all 4 of the essences needed when prospected. It's a 10 times multiplier for those that care. So if your lithium ore is say 100 gold and your lacerite is 10 gold, they will basically cost per essence be about equal. But let's see what's been happening with the supply and the demand on lithium ore. This is, I believe this first one is going to be the EU. So you can see there's been a steady decline of the actual available lithium for a little while now. A slow and steady decline in the availability. The price wasn't really doing a lot, but now people are getting prepared and getting planned for 9.1. The actual value of the lithium ore has shot up recently, massively so. And these, of course, are averages. So this is not just, just one realm. This is all of the realms, generally speaking, have seen an increase in price. We do a comparison then to the NA. Things are a little bit different on the NA. Things always seem to work a little bit differently over there. Same sort of scenario though. You can see this same sort of downward trend in actual available quantity, and a slightly less dramatic increase in price. It's safe to say there's not as many gold makers over on the NA realms, meaning that there's usually less of an impact by sort of changes like this. But you can definitely see people have got wind of what's going on. They've gone out, they've farmed a bit of it, they've put it on the auction house, and they're making good gold by doing so, I'd imagine. So there's a definite spike over the last few days, and it's only going to get more expensive as people try and scrabble to capture the markets. This is kind of true when you think about the gold making community in general. Our knowledge is 10 times that of what the average player is when it comes to these sort of things. Most people won't see these changes happening before it physically hits them in the face. So it'll be when patch 9.1 launches, when they work out what's going on with the new patch and what the new content is, then they will see that, oh, right, okay, I need to recraft my legendary. Let me go look at the auction house and see what the prices of the legendaries are today. People are what we like to refer to as reactionary. They do something based on something that changes. They're not proactive in terms of, looking too far ahead. Now, a good goblin will always be looking forward. Good goblins keep their eyes on the patch notes. Good goblins keep their eyes on the PTR. And even better goblins hit the subscribe button on Manthieus' YouTube channel. Those guys are the ones that are going to see these things coming and be able to be ahead of the game. People who are squirreling away materials for the last month or two will usually have that little bit of an advantage going forward. Not sure about the last part? No. That was that was the best tip in the whole thing. Lazy Goldmaker's done another video. He's been banging out the videos this week, even more so than myself. Lazy Goldmaker has another video talking specifically about the ore and jewel crafting prices and what you can do about it. So if you happen to be a jewel crafter, make sure you go check this one out as well. Lazy's putting out some good content recently. I did a video talking about basically reviewing the Wowhead post that came out, but we put together some maths, or a checklist, I suppose you can call it. You can see it here. My 9.1 Lego BIS list. This is what you should be probably focusing on from a crafter's perspective. Now, this is just focusing on the people that are changing their legendary in some way, shape or form, but about 90% of people are probably going to have to change their legendary in 9.1, so this is pretty inclusive, but there are some things that aren't focused on as heavily. But you can see very quickly that if you are a tailor and you're making Grim Veiled gear, you want to be crafting capes. Everybody is changing their legendary to capes because it's in a piece that is, boom, it's just a good place. It's a safe spot to have their legendary. It's not going to get in the way of any of this new domination gear. Umberhide and Bone Shatter, the meta is going to be pushed towards the legs a little bit, simply for the fact that they're the big stat items. But a lot of leather wearers and mail wearers are probably going to have to end up in the jewel crafting. Either they're going to be looking at getting the ring, or in some cases the necklace. Jewel crafting is going to have a very, very strong patch 9.1, and this means those that have been stockpiling ore for a little while it's been really, really cheap, are going to have really, really good, and by good I mean low, crafting costs for these ranks 1 through till 6 eventually. So jewel crafting is going to be really, really good. So yeah, feel free to have a little bit of a look at this. This is on my cheat sheet. My cheat sheet is always linked either in my Discord if you want the most up-to-date version of it. That's the best way to get access to it. There's a link to the Discord down below. Right, what's next on the list then? Let's have a little look. With all this speculation and reactions, there's always opportunities to make gold. I suspect other legendary slots will still be worth listing at ranks 5 and 6 if you can make profit on your server. Well, this is true. Now, I didn't highlight it very well, but this isn't, like I said, a fully inclusive list. Oh, there we go. Somebody with a host. Thank you very much. We do know for a fact that legs are going to be a popular one for some of the other professions as well. So the other pieces will still sell. They'll just sell slightly less frequently. Most of the game tends to revolve around the raiding meta, at least to a reasonable degree. Most Wowhead articles and class guides, most Icy Veins articles and class guides tend to be written from a sort of a raiding perspective, and they're the kind of things that your average player base looks to when it comes to like working out what their best gear is. So even if they're not super active raiders, they tend to play the game like a raider, even if they don't do much raiding. So you'll expect these item slots to be the popular ones, I would imagine. It is worth remembering that the attractiveness of freshly rune-crafted legendary base items is a lot less now, as they don't have a socket, and newly rune-crafted ones in 9.1 will have a socket. Haha, okay, this is gross. What we hate in crafting systems is anything that is unnecessarily confusing. This is by definition unnecessarily confusing. What's happened is because of this hoo-ha with the domination stuff, Blizzard has thought it's sensible to now make it so that if you craft a base legendary item in patch 9.1, it will come with a gem socket on it. Now, what's going to happen is not only is this probably going to break add-ons, we'll talk about that in a little bit, because it will be based on stupid bonus IDs again. Those that are aware of how TSM works will understand. But you'll now start to see some base legendary items with a socket and some of the exact same base legendary items without a socket. That's going to happen because some will have been made before the patch, some will be made after the patch. Now the stupid thing is it doesn't really matter. Even if you use a base item that doesn't have a socket on it, when you go to the rune carver with your missives and you make that new legendary, or you use that base item to upgrade your legendary, hey presto, a socket will appear on it. So it doesn't really matter which one you buy from the auction house, whether you buy one with a socket or one without a socket. But that's not how people think. That's relying on the fact that everybody knows that. Now, most people won't know that, which will mean that people go to the auction house, and if they see their Umberhide leggings at rank 5 with a at rank 4 with a socket, and they see one at rank 4 without a socket, they're going to buy the one with a socket because they don't know that they're going to get the socket anyway. It's really gross because it means from a crafter's perspective, anything that you've got already crafted now, even though it's technically not lesser value, it looks like it's lesser value, which means they will sell less frequently and be more difficult to shift. Bit of an annoyance, right? But it's something that we'll just have to deal with as a crafter. Bad example, by the way, legs don't get sockets, the head does. Alright, either or. The point being is that there'll be this on the auction house, it'll look like one has a socket and one doesn't. But in reality, when you use that base item, it will just get the socket anyway. Kind of an annoyance, but we'll have to deal with it. Anyway, let's move on to the next next topic, sorry. There is also a market for Crafters Mark III, which I imagine will see healthy sales as players will want to gear up their alts to run multiple daily quests for Korthite. Crafters Mark III is the next step up. You'll be used to the Crafters Mark II so far. You gain Crafters Mark II from Venari once you reach a certain standing with her. Can't remember exactly what it was. That Crafters Mark II made gear that was item level 168, and anybody that got on board with crafting that and selling it on the auction house knew that it sold very, very well. Those that were early to get hold of it were able to see some fantastic profits from that sort of catch-up gear. Crafters Mark III is the 9.1 equivalent of. It's going to mean that you can create the same bits of gear again, but up to an item level of 200, and you can throw them on the auction house for all those freshly dinged level 60s to grab and quickly catch up their gearing, which is good. Please do not worry if you've not invested into the legendary market. It is incredibly expensive to get into, and there are other steady ways to make gold without spending so much. The crafters marks as suggested above: alchemy, enchanting, inscription, and cooking, just to name a few other professions. Even doing callings in the mission tables can be lucrative too. Yeah, this is Samadan's approach to making sure that everybody is aware that whilst legendaries are a cash cow, without question, there's a really big barrier to entry with legendaries. I know I bang on about legendaries all day, but I talk about what is the most optimal way to make gold for the most part, and it then becomes hard to talk about anything else. But yes, alchemy especially, we are going into raiding season again. Alchemy is a seasonal profession for the most part, that it sees a massive spike in demand as and when there's a new raid out. Of course, outside of raid season, people are still buying their potions and their flasks for PvP and for Mythic Plus, but the raiding season is where you see the big spike in demand for alchemy. Same can be said for cooking. Food buffs, massive demand for those early days. So if you haven't got the gold or the desire to enter the legendary market so far, you can still make a big chunk of change getting yourself prepared and planning ahead for the new raid, which is coming out in a couple of weeks. Remember, first and foremost, to have fun. Yes, it's true. Don't take it all too seriously. You can casually make gold over a long period of time and have more than enough gold to do virtually anything you want in game. So don't grind too hard. Remember that we are here to have fun. Fun, question mark. Okay, maybe some people disagree, but yes, sure. Anyway, next we've got an interview with Sapyu, the lead developer of Trade Skill Master. You guys will be aware of the Auction House podcast that's done by Jack and Zanzaful. I've been fortunate enough to have been a guest on there a few times already. This week they had Sapyu, the lead developer of Trade Skill Master, on there, and there was a few cool things that came out of it. Now, of course, I don't want to spoil the podcast for those that haven't listened to it, but if you are into goal making and you use Trade Skill Master, there was some good insights to how Trade Skill Master's developed, where their focus is going forward with the add-on. And they covered a few things that will probably surprise you. So make sure you go out and have a listen to it. It's available on a whole bunch of platforms. I'm going to be honest, I think they're a little bit soft on Sapyu. I'm of the opinion that, 8 months for Trade Skill Master to have its first add-on is just too slow, considering the size of the Trade Skill Master team and the dominance that this add-on has on the game, but that's just my opinion. I'm glad to see that patch Trade Skill Master 4.11 is for the most part readily available. It is in beta technically, so it's a little bit pay to win right now, but it's all good. It's there. It's coming. For reference, those that care and those that are still watching, my Trade Skill Master 4.11/9.1 groups will be available very, very soon. I'm still putting the finishing touches to them once they're readily available. My Patreons and my tier 2 subs on Twitch will have full access to both the groups and the operations, so they can copy them in for their profile and just get blasting with goal making. Links to that down below. Now, last thing I think on this is TBC Classic Gold investments for Phase 2. Now, this is way over my head as I've not been playing Classic, but Phase 2 is not too far away at this point, and there are some good opportunities for goal making out there. Fake QT's put together a little video going through some of the things to get prepared for in Phase 2 if you are more of a Classic mindset. Unfortunately, I've not been playing Classic myself, so I'm really not sure. I would agree with Samadan. Get your advice from the expert. Fake QT's put a video together. Go give it a watch. And that, for the most part, is it for this week. There is a little bit of further reading you can do. This article is mostly put together using some of the World of Warcraft economy sort of mini communities, namely the subreddit, the WoW Economy subreddit. They also have their Discord server. And once again, thank you to Samadan for putting this together. You can check him out on his Twitch, or you can even go pester him over on Twitter if you wish as well. But there we go, boys and girls. I hope that was helpful to you. I hope we feel relatively confident about patch 9.1. It's only a matter of hours away for some people. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. A new patch always brings a fresh lick of paint to the game. A new patch always brings fresh players to the game. It brings returning players back to the game. It's a good fun time to be playing. I hope you guys go out there and enjoy it. But I'll leave it there for this video, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed. If you're watching live on Twitch, get your questions in. We'll go through those in a second. If you're watching this at a later date on YouTube, hope you enjoyed. Remember to give that video a like and hit the subscribe button. But I've been Manthieus, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.